now they're meeting in places, in covert places. They're grouping together and just passing on the information by word of mouth because they know they can't pass on these things by leaflets. They're meeting in parks and in parking lots and stuff like that. So what we're going to have to do, now remember this is just temporary, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to start policing all of these gatherings that they're having. So what I need you to do to make sure that your gathering isn't going to be policed is that you come on to me, let me know where and when you're going to have your gathering and who's going to be there, right? And then we'll make sure that you're not part of you're not inadvertently part of that policed gathering. Okay, we don't want you to be mistakenly arrested or dispersed. We don't want you to be mistakenly hurt because someone else thinks that you're a terrorist gathering. So for this time being, the government is going to take oversight of this issue. All right, we will. We're having a small problem with oversight of the assemblies and the press because they're still communicating, and thankfully enough, we were able to stop a terrorist attack just yesterday. We had intelligence that they were coming in this very room with AK-47s and bombs strapped to their bodies. But we were able to intercept their communications. They have a new way of communicating. And so we were able to intercept that. So everybody's safe. Don't worry about your families. You're all safe. Everybody's going to go home to their families, but we were able to intercept that. In order to intercept that, we have to be able to monitor what they're saying. Now, I understand that 20% of the population believed that this was important, but it's just 20%, right? 80%'s over here. We're not going to bother the 80%. Only 20%, right? 20%. And we all know that the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, right? We can't let 20% of the people endanger 80% of the population. And I'm sure those 20%, when they realize that it's for their own safety, they're not going to be too upset. So what we're going to do is we're going to start monitoring your cell phone conversations, your emails, and that sort of stuff. So it's not a big deal. We're not going to stop you from doing it, but we have to monitor them. And we can't let you know, because obviously if we let you know, then the terrorists will know, right? So this is what we're just going to start monitoring them, all right? But remember, you still have what's most important. Now, one of the sort of casualties, one of the sort of consequences, I would say casualty, because it's not really a bad thing. Consequences are good. Don't we have good consequences? Right? Good consequences, bad consequences. One of the consequences of the government monitoring of your speech and of your press and your assembly is that we already know what you're saying, and we already know what issues you have. So you really won't need to contact us anymore, right? You won't have to tell us anything because we already know what you're thinking and saying and doing. And frankly, if you have a problem and we know about it, we'll take care of it. And if you contact us directly, we might think you're a terrorist. So let's let us just monitor and know what you're doing, so that we don't have to worry about that. But remember, you still have what's most important to you, don't you? Right? Is this not what's most important to you? So, let me tell you, you have the right to freedom of religion and the free exercise thereof. Does that make everybody happy?
80%.
80% of the people happy, right? So 80% of you are happy. And that makes me happy because I like 80%. 80% will get me reelected, right? Right? Right. Now,
because in the revolution, the churches took part in all those activities.
That's right.
And they've been in trouble with the speech. I think maybe they should now.
right. Well, let me tell you the complication that's arisen. Okay? You have the right to establish a religion free from governmental influence. You have the right to exercise that religion as you choose. But guess what? You can't assemble in a church anymore. Right? Because we've taken control of that. And, sorry, no more Bibles. No more hymn books, no more gospel tracts. And no more preaching. You don't have a church, so you can't preach in the church. And you can't preach on the street now either. So, I ask you, what good is this right if you only have it by yourself in your home? Now, we've just got a bulletin in from the consulate, and the candy that we gave you when you came in has been contaminated by the terrorists. And I have to take it back for testing to make sure it's safe. And what I'll do is I'll give it back to you once we take it and test it, if it's safe. And as a matter of fact, if it's safe, I'll leave you with the whole bag. But you have to give it back to me for now for testing. And thank you. Now, my bag is ripping. The Declaration of Independence says that all men are created equal and endowed with certain unalienable rights. And that unalienable means you can't be separated from them. Those rights are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. From that phrase, we know that our founding fathers believed in natural law. Natural law means, comes from the understanding that we are creations, we are God's creation, and that we are created in the image of God. And because God is the supreme being and is ultimately free and completely free, no one binds God. Nobody restricts God. We are created in His image. We are given those same freedoms from God. So the illustration that I gave you with the candy today is something that I gave you so it would become personal. When you got your candy because of two reasons, right? Because you were a living, breathing human being and you were a member of this room. And I explained to you that I was not giving you that candy, that was your right to have it. based on those two conditions and those conditions alone.